Alright, so this is my third character done this league. Once I saw the Relicash boots this league, I thought I need to do some endurance stacking this league, because it sounds like fun. And what can you do with endurance stacking? Not that much. There is, of course, the new skill gems that scale with that scales with endurance charges, like, what's the stamp skill now again? Is it Volcanic Fissure? No. It's Consecrated Path and Tectonic Slam, that's it, Tectonic Slam. But Slam skills are kinda bad at this point. I don't really enjoy it. You kinda need Hate Forged Gloves for it to work, so I decided to go with something else that works very well with endurance charges, and that is the survivability. If I have survivability, I can stack shit tons of trauma stacks. How do I stack the trauma stacks? Well, easiest way is by having lots of attack speed and some duration scaling. This league, they introduced the double strike of momentum, which grants me up to 140% more attack speed. If I then just use that with fast attacks and trauma support, I can sustain well over 100 trauma stacks. I can get momentum support as well, but that will only cap me at 5 stacks of momentum before it resets. If I don't have it, I will have permanently 10 stacks as long as I don't move. Since it's a strike skill and it's not Bone Shatter, the clear is terrible in general. Since it's single target, you don't really have that much of a range. So yeah, it's not really for mapping, it's more for events that you have to stand still on. That you can stand still on, such as Delve, such as Ultimatum. This character is perfect for Ultimatum, since all you have to do is ignore every ruin modifier and just stack the different elemental ones, ignore the chaos ones, you just stand there and don't care. So, how many endurance charges do we have? Well, we have 3 base, we have another 3 from the skill tree, we have 1 from the Juggernaut, we have 2 from this weapon, because it's 1 from the implicit and 1, I think it's shape influenced. It should be shaper, isn't it? Yeah, shaper. Then we have implicit on the rings, and I mirror this one, so that's another 2. We have 1 from the boots and 1 from the belt. As most people know, Arns changes the endurance charges to brutal charges, which has a chance of giving triple damage. But since I'm using Relakish's Impatience, I'm still keeping the endurance charges at full stacks at all time. So whenever I would normally gain endurance charges, I'm gaining brutal charges. I double dip on the endurance basically. I gain endurance and brutal for the cost of just the belt and the boots. There are different ways you can build this character to make it really, really tanky. You can go the route with the Law Weave, which sets my maximum resistances to 78, and get a Militant Faith with a High Templar Maxarius to gain Transcendence, which then lets us make our armor apply to all elemental damage instead of physical. But that sounds pretty bad, right? Because you're hitting yourself for physical damage with all the trauma that you're stacking. Yes, but since this character has 13 endurance charges, and with a Juggernaut node that grants me an additional physical damage reduction per endurance charge, this sets me straight up to 65% damage reduction for physical damage. Not just hits, but also damage over time. Then we have Enduring Cry, which grants me, well, elemental resistances. It grants me 2% additional physical damage reduction per endurance charge. And we have 13 of them. So that puts me to another 26%. So 65 plus 26 is 60, 70, 80, 91% physical damage reduction. 90% is the hard cap. So this shout and the endurance charges alone cap my physical damage reduction. There are other ways you can scale this. You can of course get the fourth vow, and instead of this one you get I think it's Glorious Vanity to get what's it called? It's called, oh bloody hell, is it Diamond Skin? No, not Diamond Skin. Glorious Vanity, Divine Flesh. There we go, Divine Flesh. That will make it so that half of your elemental damage taken will instead be chaos damage, taken as chaos. And the fourth vow allows all armor to apply to chaos. You will still be able to mitigate most of the elemental damage this way, but you always have the opportunity to use the Unbreakable instead of Unrelenting then. So 8% of your armor applies to elemental damage, plus 100% on the chaos. And since the damage is split, you double dip on it as well. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, since with Divine Flesh, you still keep your armor for your physical defense. So you don't need as many endurance charges as this build does. So you don't really need +2 from this rod. Instead, you could get a much higher PDPS weapon in general. There are multiple ways you can build this character. You can go physical damage, you can go elemental damage, whatever you prefer. In this case, I went full on fire conversion. So I have 25 from here, 40 from the mastery, and Avatar Fire to just get the last ones. Sure, this pathing is pretty bad, this node is pretty bad, but since I need that last evasion, well not evasion, the last conversion, then I'm forced to build down here, unfortunately. And the 100% decreased damage from the Ignite Mastery is pretty big when it comes to damage. Since we are hitting ourselves so much for physical damage, we have almost infinite health regen from this. As you maybe saw in the intro footage, the life was going up and down, up and down, up and down. And same goes for our Divine Shield. 3% physical damage prevented from hits recently is regenerated as energy shield per second. So the life and the energy shield bar goes mental. The other good thing by using the fourth vow body armor is that you don't need Divine Shield, because all damage penetrates your energy shield together with Divine Flesh. So you're saving a skill point on this as well. I just went with the Wildwood one because just damage. I also get some rage throughout this, and it also caps my chaos resistance straight up from these two. So 5% chaos resistance per endurance charge. I have 13, that's 65% chaos resistance, and then I just have a shit roll one here because I needed some mana reservation to get the auras that I wanted. But speaking of Enduring Cry, this War Cry is what caps my physical damage reduction. If I don't have it up, I'm dead. I would just kill myself in a split second. Now, considering, you see I have this to numlock, well, not numlock, numpad number 7. And if I hold this button down and then press numlock, this should autocast every time it goes off cooldown automatically. In some cases, it doesn't proc. I'm gonna turn this off, so I'm just gonna... There you go. Turn the numlock on again. Sometimes the game just forgets that it's on autocast, and I don't know why. I don't know what's causing it, and that has killed my character a few times. And temporal bubble enemies are horrifying because it increases all the cooldown reduction on your character, and you need this cooldown to actually work. I can't sustain it if I'm in the temporal bubble, so that rat enemy bricks my character. This character can't run maps with reduced buff duration. This character can't run maps with no regen. And there's one more, I forgot. No regen, no buffs, and increased cooldown. Less cooldown recovery rate, that's it. The physical version of this build, you would probably skip all these fire nodes, spec into Impale, here and here, and instead of... Yeah, I don't even use an offensive aura, it's all in defensive. I'm using Iron Reflexes, because I'm double dipping with both Determination and Grace to give me about 100,000 armor. With my flasks up, it's about 100,000. What else is there to say about this? Oh yeah, right. So this character is crit immune. I have 30% less here, I have 30% less here, and my Watcher's Eye has another 45%. So I'm over 100% critical strike damage reduction. I am elemental ailment immune throughout Purity of Elements. This can of course be changed to a Storm Shroud if I had enough avoid chance of being shocked, but my gear is kinda iffy on that part. Sure, I could probably get like a flask with avoid shock to like 50%, I think it is, and get another 50 to 60% on a helmet, and that will solve most of it. But I really need reservation efficiency, and I'm in deep need of intelligence and dexterity. This is really starved of those stats, hence why I have 5 dexterity here and another 5 here and 6 all attributes here to kind of counteract the requirements. So what are the different upgrades? What can I make with this character? If I was doing a 4th vow, I'll probably get myself a Mage Blood instead. And if I have a Mage Blood, I can have increased effects. Then I can put a chance to avoid shock on a flask to get you straight up 100%. And that way I can probably change this jewel to the Storm Shroud one, so I'm immune to elemental ailments. And thus I can drop the Purity of Elements and instead use an offensive aura like Pride if I'm doing physical damage, or Anger if I'm doing fire. But if I'm doing a Mage Blood setup, then I would probably drop the Transcendence one and use Divine Flesh with the 4th vow instead. So I can use the armor to physical defenses as well, and not just elemental. So this character, loads of fun if you enjoy standing still. Perfect for ultimatum. Does alright in Delve. It's about 10 million DPS with its setup. It's pretty expensive to get going. Do I recommend the build? Probably not. Am I enjoying it? Yes. That's it. See you in the next one.